While standing there blinded by the glorious light, Dante heard St. John the Revelator tell him that Beatrice can restore his sight, just as St. Irenaeus had with St. Paul. The Son of Thunder wanted to converse with the great Florentine poet about the internalized goal he had. To this, Dante responded that his sight would be healed at Beatrice's leisure, and that his goal was simply that he would be spiritually guided by love. St. John the Revelator encouraged the great Florentine poet to refine his reply. The fisherman also wanted Dante to give him the reason as to why he aimed for. Dante said that love was imprinted upon him through both philosophical reasoning and divine authority. As Christian good would yield to more Christian good, love also would be proportionally increased. Accordingly, the essence of the Father is perfected in His goodness and would therefore send out is perfect in His goodness and would therefore send out immense levels of love. Anyone who sees the truth in this must also be moved to who is love in its purest form. Every pure form of love is only a reflection of Him. Even Aristotle, the pagan, wrote of the primal love which came from the Father, calling Him the first mover of all things. Per Exodus 33:19, the Father told Moses that, "Oh my goodness, pass before thee." If He would make all goodness pass before Moses, that also indicated that He would cause all love to pass before the great prophet as well. The Father's love was also confirmed by the devotion and the mystery of heaven. St. John the Theologian verified that human reasoning and divine revelation agreed on the grounds that loving the Father is the greatest goal someone can aim for. The great Florentine poet was drawn to the Father despite his love. Just as the purpose for this question from St. John the Elder was slowly understood by Dante, he prepared his response with equal speed. Dante said that the things which draw with the Blessed and Holy Trinity have drawn him as well. Chief among these things which drew Dante to the Blessed and Holy Trinity were creation, the creation of humanity, the holy consumed sacrifice of Christ, and the hope for future spiritual glory. These have preserved him, garnered his understanding and love for true love bound by the Father's. As he finished, the great Florentine poet heard Beatrice and the other souls rise a resounding shout of holy, holy, holy. Just as Saul the Pharisee became Paul the infant Pharisee, Dante's vision was healed and changed. He now seemed to be able to see light rays spreading over 1,000 miles. Beatrice then told the great Florentine poet, there within those rays gazes upon its maker, the first soul that ever the first virtue did create. Canto 26, 82 through 84. As she spoke, Dante bowed down in the same way a tree would bend under a strong gale. However, when he was seized with a desire to speak to the first parent, the great Florentine poet began by saying, "O apple, the material alone hast thou produced, O ancient Father, to whom each wife is daughter, and daughter as I supplicate thee that thou wouldest speak to me. Thou seest my wish, and I to hear thee quickly. Adam spoke with animalistic joy at hearing Dante's greeting. He then told the great Florentine poet that he had seen his desire in the holy mirror of truth. It was there that the Creator, but not the creation. Adam also knew Dante wanted to know when he was placed in the Garden of Paradise, how long he was in the garden, the reason for the fall, and the original language of the world. Now I have to compare Dante's text in the biblical commentary. We do not know how long Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. I calculated they were in there about 3 years. Dante's text of Paradiso dictated that Adam fell on the sixth day of creation at the sixth hour. However, this is highly implausible and impossible due to the context of the text of Genesis 2 and 3. However, the fall could have been between proportional hours of the sixth day of the week in the third year. If this is the case, it means that the fall occurred on a Friday in 4111 BC out of the sixth proportional hour. Consequently, the darkness of Good Friday covered the surrounding countryside of Jerusalem in the sixth proportional hour, and Christ died in the ninth proportional. Adam told Dante that the reason for banishment was not the fruit in itself, but transgressing the commandment that the Father Almighty gave them. We know that they were banished before Cain was born, and that Cain and Abel are apart in age. Abel was approximately 118 years old when he was murdered by Cain, who was 126 years old. This means that Adam was around 130 years old per scripture when his second-born son was buried. His born son began roaming around, and his third son, Seth, was born. Adam told Dante that he was in the Garden of Paradise, which was on the summit of Mount Purgatory, for 4,320 years in hope of being in the Church Triumphant. In reality, the all-righteous souls prior to the resurrection of Christ went down into paradise, or the bosom of Abraham. The 4,320 years of hope and longing were also wrong. Creation was done by at least 4114 BC and 33. This would imply that Adam spent 3,217 years in the bosom of Abraham. Because he died at 950 years old. Adam did, so you have to subtract the death date, his death date versus Christ's death date, and you come up, unless my calculation is way off, 3,050. As for the original language of the world, Adam said the language that I state was quite extinct before that in the word intermingle the people under Nimrod, Cantos 26, 124 through 126. The original language can actually be conjectured by finding the commonality between each of the proto-human languages. It is possible that by extinct Adam meant that the language had evolved the three sons and wife spoken life. This is similar to how 18th century North American English and 21st century North American English are grossly different. According to Dante, Adam said that the Father Almighty was known as I, but later would be called